We're looking at Banff National Park in Canada, and there simply aren't enough superlatives in my vocabulary to describe it. It's host to the Banff Springs Hotel and one of the top-ranked golf courses in the world. And altogether, I don't think there's a better meeting of mountains and golf anywhere in the world. Banff Springs was kind enough to host me, and my buddy Steve flew me out from BC to play this match, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. Steve is giving me 2 strokes per side in this match.
That's a good miss.
And we're off. Steve's first drive of the day is a good one, and he'll have just a short iron in.
Didn't hit that drive great. We have 212 into the fan, and we're not in the best lie. Well, we'll just try to kind of muscle one up there.
Combine all of those factors, and I'm hard-pressed to find the green. But this one's online, and I'll take it. Steve is trying to keep this one below the wind. He flares it out a bit to the right, but gets a good kick. And I'll stop to show you the views like this a few more times today, because this Stanley Thompson layout would be great anywhere. But when you factor in the backdrop, this is easily one of the best courses I've played. Steve wedges on here and will have about 8 feet for par. And meanwhile, from about 30 feet away in the fringe, I opt for the flat stick, and will also have just a bit of work left. This is to put the pressure on me.
Oh, cruel.
No good, and now I'm putting for the win.
So I think this is just right edge.
That's my read, and I hope I can hit my line.
Really? That was a pull? Wow, I could have sworn I hit... Really?
We both failed to scramble, and we'll be all square heading into 2. I'd also be remiss not to point out that we're getting close to 40,000 subscribers, so please hit the button if you haven't already. We're getting close. On the par 3 second, Steve is once again keeping a 7-iron below the wind, this time successfully.
And you'd think the wind sure didn't move that, but the wind's going hard right. Yeah.
But the wind does move this one.
I faded it.
It catches a piece of green, but for the first time today, I'll have a long testing lag putt, and we'll see how I do. It misses long.
A little bit of meat there.
Steve, meanwhile, from about 20 feet, rolls this one nice and tight.
Good roll.
And we'll give him the par. For the second hole in a row, I have a short one for par. It's no good, and Steve will go 1 up in the match. I stroke on the beautiful par 5 third, and that's a better swing for me, but it is leaking just a bit to the right. And oddly enough, Steve does the exact same thing with his. And I'll now show you how we each evaluate the hole from here.
Didn't hit that one super well. We've got 100 to the 150, so 250 in. We're into the fan. Just going to bump a 6-iron up there and hope to have anything around 100 in would be fine.
My ball's in thick rough, and I'm not getting greedy and trying to hit a fairway wood out of here, but rather just laying up to a number.
Just aiming off the tall pine.
Steve also opts to play some smart golf. And before we hit our third shots, I'll give you some insight into how I think over a short approach shot like this.
So we got 111. We're into the fan. Gonna hit my Vancouver 110, 115 club, and I think it'll be the right club.
One positive thing I can say is that it's the right number.
Chunk pull, but we're putting. Nice opportunity for another 3-putt. That was a pretty big miss from 110.
And monkey see, monkey do. Steve also bang on the number, but his misses to the right. Another great view here at Banff. And this should be a pretty straightforward up and down for Steve, but we're both having a bit of trouble with the pace of these greens so far. His rolls out to a good 9 or 10 feet. And now I'm
These swing like more than they look like they're going to. On 1 and 2, I had putts that like just broke twice as much as they look like they would.
Even with this knowledge in mind, I'm just not able to commit to enough break on this one.
Like, dude.
It'll leave me a bit of work, but with my stroke in hand, Steve now needs to make this one to put any pressure on me. And unfortunately, he misses. I can now 2-putt to victory.
I pulled that one.
But I would have liked that one anyway.
Makeable. They call this hole the Devil's Cauldron. It's probably... I think it's safe to say this is the most famous par 3 in Canada.
It's tough for me to commit to a number here, and I take some off of my 6-iron, owing to the elevation.
Wow, that's short.
Steve pulls this a bit off his intended line, but it lands pin high left, and he will be putting for birdie.
Good ball.
And even when lugging the camera around, I always try to stop and appreciate views like this.
Hitting greens, we have a 100% 3-putt rate. So let's see what happens trying to get up and down.
And I always create little games within the game like this. Now I'm trying to see if I can get up and down, and I'll have a pretty good look at it. This one looks scary.
I was just terrified.
Yeah, it sure looked like it was going to be
A screamer.
Yeah.
What?
We'll give that one to Steve. And I have another look at winning a hole here.
And that was exactly the putt I wanted to hit. Dealing us bogeys everywhere.
The match remains square, and I do myself no favors here.
That's the worst drive I've hit in a long time.
I thought that one might be out of play, but fortunately for me, it's alive. Steve, meanwhile, stripes his down the middle.
Yeah, this round is one good shot away from a turnaround. 223. Let's see if we can get one up there.
As usual, a good swing thought leads to a good swing.
That's short. Yeah, it was a good shot out of here.
Steve, trying to take advantage of his drive here, hits this on line, but it's about a club short and he'll have a long putt. And with no one behind us, I'm going to take another minute to appreciate Mount Rundle as a backdrop. And now I'll have about 40 yards to try to get up and down from. And I nipped this one so clean that it stopped faster than I thought it would.
Checked big time.
Steve's away at about 30 feet, and he gets the pace on this one pretty good.
Good putt. It's good.
This is my chance to match him, and unfortunately I miss it a bit high. We've already given Steve this one, but he'll ram it home anyway. The 6th hole is totally unaltered from its original design, and it really feels like a step back in time in golf. It has a wide open and forgiving fairway, and it's no surprise that both Steve and I managed to hit it. What makes it a bit more old school is that the main challenge of the hole is an elevated green complex.
Oh, that should be good.
This one is indeed pretty tight, and Steve, with about the same number, puts one in the air with his lob wedge, but unfortunately pulls it a bit off his line.
Let's commit. Almost a foot. I'm going to hit it about here.
I'm trying to still go through my full putting routine, despite the results I've had so far.
Okay, good putt.
And while that one didn't go in, I'm nonetheless happy with the process.
That's my line.
He says a dark patch a foot left of the pin.
Steve now has this one to go 2 up.
Stay up.
It's a bit past the hole, but I'll be generous.
It's good for the match, by the way.
Thank you.
And there's always a few commenters who want to see them go in anyway, so that one's for you. I get my second and final stroke hole on the front, on this double dogleg par 5.
That's a shame.
Left would have been the better miss here, and I'll be a bit boxed out on the right. And oddly enough, Steve puts his right next to mine. And both of us will have to lay up from here. Steve hits a 9-iron on a good line.
I'm aiming right at Steve's ball, hitting a 150 club, and hopefully that's fine.
I pull mine just a hair left of his, but nonetheless we'll both have wedge in.
120 and I'm hitting a gap. It's a little bit down fan, finally. So 120, this is my 150 club. Short's not dead, long's not dead. I just don't want to pull it left, which is if I miss with a wedge.
This is the first hole we're playing downwind all day, and I've noticed that sometimes hoisting a wedge in the air when the shot is downwind has an effect of actually knocking the ball down and out of the air sooner. And that's exactly what happened to both Steve and me here. Now it's a challenge to see who can get up and down.
Just stop so quick.
And once again, we're both having a bit of trouble with pace from off the green. Steve's is a bit short, and lo and behold, mine will finish about 4 inches behind his. This is a putt for the win, and it is a terrible effort. My putting woes are in full force, and Steve can now make this one for the tie.
Well done.
And he does. It's another beautiful backdrop here on 8, and mine will catch a piece of the front of the green here. Steve, meanwhile, with a great strike with an 8-iron here, and he'll also be putting for bird. I fell in love with the line on this one, and I wound up leaving it about 5 feet short. But this one is sadly the longest putt I made on the entire front 9 to this point. And Steve,
Good part.
it's just another easy par for him.
Another beautiful hole here. Spectacular.
How's this for a gettable par 5?
Got my boots that time.
That is perfect.
I'm also going to swing out of my shoes here. So bad. Gonna get away with that. To carry the trap. It's 195, so it's like This carries 200, but I need to hit it well to do that. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of not even think about shape and just try to put a good strike on this looking at the flag. The flag's 240, so it's never getting to the flag, but if I hit it well, it can get to the front.
Oh my god.
That is the biggest miss. Yeah, still making birdie from there.
A good 6. Can he do it? Can he execute?
I think he can. Steve certainly appears to have an advantage here, but this one misses the green a hair short.
71. The lie's not bad. It's still not really going to spin out of this, though. Let's try to hit it nice and high.
This shot isn't suited to my low wedge that checks, so I put it high in the air and know that it will still release quite a bit.
Go in. Oh!
It rolls right past the pin and actually almost went in. Steve now is also hoping to get up and down for birdie, but just as been the case the entire front 9, he struggles a bit with the pace. He's still away in putting for birdie.
Nuked it though.
He gave it an honest run and ran it by, but does a good job here.
Well done. Center left first. There's like so little in this putt. Finally.
Finally, the golf gods give me one in my favor. It's a good way to end the 9 and tie up the match.